here, I noticed that there were 20 people waiting, and I thought, I can't keep 20 people waiting for another minute. I might as well just go ahead and start. I can see that Hobby Strange Pets, and the Bug Hub. Let's see, Frank the Tank, Mantis God, Karache. Let's see, Donald Woods, Random T, Cassie's here, excellent. Sherry's here, great. Theropod Hunter. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody. Just kind of trying to... Oh, there's Kel, Helmick, Canalside Exotics, Spaghetti Legs, Joe's, and Mr. and Mrs. Morelia. We got a good lineup to start with, don't we? Pretty good deal. Welcome, everyone. Puerto Rican 32. Excellent. Okay. And I've just got some of my favorite Armadillidium here. My Gestroy here. I thought I'd share some of those to start with as we figure out what's going on. Green Jedi Monkey, hello, young lad as well. Excellent. Over 21 people in the stream so far. Can we get a like spike? That would be... Oh, Mantis God had the idea the same time I did. In Hobby Strange Pets, it does look like they're chewing on Cuttlebone, but actually what they're doing, sitting inside a scallop shell, munching on Supreme Isopod chow. I love it when they do the little circles around MT. It's pretty awesome. Just drop the little scoop there, and I love that. Theropod Hunter, your Gestroid growing in number. Good to hear that. They are a pretty fantastic species. And there are babies all over this enclosure. Let me see if I can share some of that. This is the enclosure I put together not too long ago in a video. You can see there's little babies all over this piece of wood here. When I turn it over, you'll see even more of them. They're just Gestroy everywhere. I'm going to be careful so I don't lose any. I'm going to try to set them down again very gently. I don't want to spill. Gestroy, that would be sad. And let's see. Arachnoboss is here. And Kara, what kind of isopods do you have? Because some of them, it depends partly on the age of the culture and the population density, but it also depends on the species. This is a very, very bold species. But there are others you can see eating too. It's a matter of, like I said, population density and amount of food they get and other factors as well. But Green Jedi Monkey, you definitely need to get some Gestroy. Oh, Gestroy, okay. How many do you have, Kara? Jumping Spider Season, Frank? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So, Mayuki found Aloniscus, like Aloniscus perconvexus. I don't know a lot about that species. I have not ever worked with it at all. The Aloniscus perconvexus is, I think it's like a beachside species, but I don't know a whole lot about it. So it's a great question, though. And a person, hello. And Sean Meister, greetings. Your Gestroy are doing better than your Granulotum. Awesome. Yeah, I think Gestroy they take a while to get going, but once they get going, there's no stopping them for sure. Maybe I should take a look at the Granulotum on screen. Should we do that? Let me see. I'm going to have to reach a little bit here. Just a second. I don't have my extension because my extension doesn't work. So I'm back to my 6-foot microphone, which makes it hard to move around in this room. But I'm clipping it back on, so let's see if we can make this work. There we go. Hopefully that works. Am I sounding okay again? And Arachnoboss. Oh yeah, you definitely got to get this species. One of the best. Oh, we got a super chat. This is for Mr. and Mrs. Morelia. Oh yeah. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Morelia. Thank you. Glad you appreciated my way to start the chat. And Gestroy, for me, they are a must-have. I think I fell twice as in love with isopods when I got Gestroy and realized how awesome they were. They are just fantastic. If I had to pick one isopod, that might be it. They're just incredible. I got some Granulotum here. These come from Braden at Critters and More. So thank you again for the super chat, Mr. and Mrs. Morelia, and I totally agree. That's the species you want to get. And Cassie, that is totally fine. I'm really excited about the pied Paracai. See if we can get those going. I have a few of them too, so maybe it'll be enough. I'm hoping so. And I really appreciate you sending them. And okay, I'm going to go over here. I'm only catching some of this. I see Mark Sumner's here. Okay, glad you're joining in. Great to see you here. We're going to take a look at some Armadillidium Granulotum now. There's a bunch of them right there. They are pretty similar. A matte version of Armadillidium gestroy, kind of. Pretty colorful, just not as colorful. So iBugman, you got your yellow dots and your zebras to breed, but not your clowns. Tell me a little bit about how you're moistening them. Are you misting? Because I wouldn't. I would just trickle water down onto the moss area. Green Jedi Monkey, oh, nice find. You got some new Isopod bins. And Javi, what are you feeding? I missed the chat earlier. Frank the Tank. Oh yeah, there are probably some jumpers that aren't very well known in the hobby for sure. In your area, I would imagine so. J-Man, hey, welcome. You don't want to see my jumper? Just a second. Oh, we've got a super sticker or super chat or a donation of some kind from Kel Helmick. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's fantastic. I really appreciate everyone's support. And let's see, I'm going to see if they're going to be interested in that fish food. I have no idea if they will. I'm going to give some to my Gestroy too, because I know they're going to go after it. Supreme Gecko, or Supreme Isopod Chow. Fish food, probably their favorite foods that I have. See, I wish I could get them all in the same shot. But Brandon, I noticed Brandon was in the chat. This is my favorite isopod if I have one. I don't know that I have one. But it's my favorite Armadillidium. And if I have a favorite isopod, this is probably it. Green Jedi Monkey, glad to hear your zebras are doing well. And no problem, Kel. I appreciate that. But if you do have a question, go ahead and post it. It usually does do the message, I think, before, but it's been a little while since I've done one. But yeah, you're welcome to ask the question. I'll go ahead and answer it anyway. Yeah, Gestroy are definitely a charcoal gray. That makes sense. And oh, Arachnoboss, we got one too. Where are the spiders at? I know you got some. Well, this one is probably going to be really hard to see, but I'm going to see if we can get it go. And then we're going to do some more spiders because I see, let me see. I'm going to take this off the, why can I not talk? Take it off the tripod. We're going to look at some spiders. So here's my velvet spider, my Eresis vulcanary. Can we see her? Oh, we can see her face a little bit. That's my velvet spider. Just gave her a cricket the other day. I think she took it. She's been eating mostly crickets. I offered her some fruit flies, but I think she might be a little too big for the fruit flies now. And she took a superworm or a mealworm, something like that. Can we get a good look at her face? It's kind of hard to see her. But I love that webbing, that fluffy webbing. Isn't that something? Let's look at some more spiders. have another spider right over here. This is my big old Phidippus regius. See if we can get a good angle in on her. Oh, look at that face. Arachnid warning. Little tulip is a beauty. She's gorgeous. And there, Kel, I see your message. Anybody heard of here albino immaculata? My chocolate zebras have thrown an albino. I'm not trying to isolate, but you've heard of anyone with that before? I have. I've had a couple people contact me with that. I had someone who had an orange albino, I believe, and I think I've heard of the white ones, like white albinos too. And J-Man, glad to hear your Armadillidium vulgare are doing their thing. That's awesome. So this is my tarantula cribs enclosure, and she's building a new hammock right up there. She is huge. She's the biggest regius I've ever seen in my life. So, let's see, what else do I have? Spider-wise, I got a couple more. Let's see. This one, I don't know if you'll be able to see her or not. I'll try it and see. It's a false black widow, I think, that showed up just in the house, and I put her in a thing, put her in a little enclosure and let her build a web. She'd been eating Heidi fruit flies there. Yeah, we can totally take a look at the harvestmen too. The harvestmen, in fact, right here behind there where the Granulotum are hanging out. So we'll take a peek. I wanted to show you one more spider. Just a second. Yeah, I was thinking, Arachnibos, that it was a false widow. So thank you for the confirmation. And Brendan, we can totally see some Peacekeeper calico. I'll get to that too. Okay, I'm just going to pop on. Let's see. The Gestroy are not doing a whole lot with that fish food. So I'm going to flip that back over and let them do their thing. And put a couple of things away. We'll get the ornate, or not the ornate harvestman, but the harvestman out. Got to set these down somewhere where I'm not going to kick them. Does anybody want to see the black hole spider really quickly before? She's right here, so I might as well just show you the black hole spider. Just arachnid warning if you got issues with arachnids. She's a big one for true spider. She's a big true spider. She's not a big for a tarantula or anything, but she's pretty big. So here we go. If you want to see, this is my Cuclucania Hibernalis, also known as the black hole spider, southern house spider, crevice spider, whatever. This is her. She's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to put her back. See if I can get this thing stable, hopefully. Put Charlotte away. That's her name, Charlotte. I know it's super original, but the thing is, I show everybody Charlotte's web first, and then I show them Charlotte, and it kind of works. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm going to move the Gestroy, scoot them out of the way a bit. We'll take a look at some harvestmen. These are Say's harvestmen right here. Take a look. It's basically a huge, not huge. It's a lot of springtails in here and a few harvestmen, but that's cool because they're just starting out. Somebody told me recently that they really like dried mealworms, and I threw some in there and they were munching on them. So. Okay. So Ruthless, would a colony of half a dozen be good in a shoebox size enclosure? Is too large for them to be able to find each other and breed? And which type of isopod are we talking about? Because it'll depend somewhat. You can usually get away with putting half a dozen in, but I usually, if I have that small number of isopods, I'll usually start out with something smaller. But you can do it. Okay, let's see if we can see some harvestmen in here. I'm hoping for babies soon. Oh, look at that, loads of harvestmen. There's 7 of them right there. I think there are 9 in here. So most of them are just right here on this piece of egg crate, which is kind of cool. I think they're super cool looking. Any of you out there keep harvestmen like these? These are Say's harvestmen, there's ornate harvestmen. And somebody asked what they eat, and they are funny looking, J-Man. Totally true. Yeah, oh, Frank the Tanks, you can feed them small fish pellets and fruit flies. I do. I feed them also the dried mealworms, fruit flies, springtails, and the fish food pellets. That's basically what I give them. And they seem to be doing really well. It's a new colony for me, but they're doing their thing. And crazy looking, definitely. Very alien. That's why I called the unboxing of these guys Tiny Aliens? Question mark? And then I said Opiliones unboxing from Roach Crossing. I love the way their legs in the back are attached in a totally different way than the legs in the front. It's weird, but I love it. Totally cool. I think they're done. So a person, daddy longlegs, the species we think of as daddy longlegs, that is not a spider. There are spiders that people call daddy longlegs as well, but the arachnid that is known as daddy longlegs that is not a spider is also in the same group as these guys. These are Opiliones, and that's Opiliones, a totally different group of them, but they are related. So they're the same order, I guess it is. Different species, different genus. I think different suborder. I could be wrong about that. But let's see. I'm just gonna poke around and see if we can see any pseudoscorpions while we're looking at them in the mini zoo portion of the room right now. See tons of springtails. Sometimes you'll see really small baby pseudoscorpions right along the edge of the container. So just where the springtails hang out. Just checking. I saw some babies in this one. This is the one I set up most recently. Let's see if we can see any baby pseudoscorpions anywhere. See fruit flies. I see springtails. I'm not yet seeing a pseudoscorpion. There are bunches of them in here. There are even mites in here, but that's fine because the pseudoscorpions eat the mites. It's just another food source for them. Yep, not seeing any right now. But that's kind of how the culture works. Sometimes you see loads of them, and sometimes you don't. But that doesn't mean they're not there. Let's see if we see any in this one. I've got 3 cultures of the pseudoscorpions going. This is my oldest one right here. You can probably tell because the plastic is a little bit scratched up. Not right now. Okay, I think we had a request from Brandon. Oh, there up on here, the red velvet mites are so cool. And assassin bugs, those are very cool too. And how's the scorpion doing? I got a couple of scorpions. So I'm going to do the calico Porcelioscaber for Brandon, and then we'll take a look at the scorpion, at least one of them. I have 2 scorpions. I have a giant Desert Hairy scorpion, and then I have my other one is why can't I talk? Asian forest scorpion, like somebody asked. Okay, whoa. Here we go. Let's get some eyes on these calicos. I'm going to try to zoom out just a little bit, see if we can get a better focus, maybe. So you can see some of them are wild types, and some of them have a lot of different colors going on. Some are basically just orange. And then you've got some in various different colors. Some of them are almost yellow, some are almost green. Some are very mottled, some of them are very light, like that one right in the middle of the screen right now. Just a few of the calicos. So Pedro Gonzalez, you're thinking about doing an airtight container for the vulgare. I would recommend against the airtight container unless you vent it up pretty frequently, because I've heard of them dying off that way if it's airtight. They just seem to need a little bit more ventilation than some. And you might be able to make it work. I'm not saying you couldn't, but that would be my recommendation to start with. What color do you call that one? I don't even know what color to call that. It's kind of cool looking though. Oh, Sandy, welcome. And, oh, Javi got a female bold jumper. Her abdomen's very small. She spun a small web and attempted to feed her small crickets and dubia roaches. Is she not really eating them? I would say make sure she's getting plenty of light. Light really seems to get them going. So you probably saw I have mine under a really bright light, and she loves it and goes to town. She's really getting a kick out of it. So I would say that's a good way to go. You get the bright light. So try brightening up the light, Javi, and see if that helps. Let's see, Cole Nystrom is a Repashy bug burger, a good stable diet for isopods. It's good. It's fairly expensive, so I would say there are cheaper options out there, and there are options that elicit an excellent feeding response with less work than Repashy. I mean, you can just feed Repashy dry. You can do that, but Supreme Isopod Chow is one of my favorites, and I'm just going to show you here. This is my staple isopod food. This is what I use as my staple, besides, of course, leaves and the substrate, leaves and wood and whatnot. And so this is what I would suggest above everything, based on the isopod's feeding response and how well they do on it. This is the protein plus protein mix, and you can get this on my website, or you can get it from supremegecko.com. That's the plus protein. Also, you have the veggie times 10 for the isopods that like a little more vegetation, like the Armadillidium. And the plus protein is good for ones like a lot of the Porcellio. And then you just have the original, which is great too, and it works exceptionally well. So those are some options. You can also use fish food pellets. Fish food pellets work really well as a staple isopod food, other than the leaves and wood and stuff. And you give them some veggie bits. Oh, some eggs. You lost a bold jumper because the female ate the male. Wow. So meow meow, you want to see some P. ornatus? We can do that. P. ornatus are all breeding like crazy because it's spring right now. It's going to take me a minute to get them, but I'm going to have to detach myself from the mic. Sorry. But I'll be right there. Can you hear me right now? I don't know. I'm pretty far away from the thing there, but I've got 4 different bins with Porcellio ornatus in them, and I'm currently prepping them so that you can see them. Hope you can hear me. Okay, so we will start with the least fancy of all. I guess that's kind of subjective. But, good, okay, I can see that you can still hear me. So Chet, you have some of my morning geckos, cool. To sell, you don't actually need a permit because you're selling in state. So that's not a big deal there. And you don't necessarily need to create a business depending on how much money you're making from it. Okay, these are the Porcellio ornatus yellow dot. Lots of babies in there, juveniles. Most of the ones you see are juveniles. There's a couple of adults there. This colony is doing pretty well now. It kind of suffered a bit of a decline for a while, but it's back, bouncing back, doing well. That's the yellow dots. They're fun ones. Okay, sorry about the bumps. There's nothing I can do about that. Working with small spaces here. I'm going to try to avoid it, but can't make any promises that it will happen. Okay, now what are we looking at next? This is Porcelaria ornatus high yellow. These are fun. Let's see if we can see. Oh, here's one right here. Can you see that? Sitting on top of the moss. These are pretty darn gorgeous. These came from J-Man. And Kel, good question. I don't have any roaches at all because my wife has asked me not to keep any in the house. When I can keep them separate away from the house, I hope to change that in the future. But as of this moment, I have none because I cannot bring them home. One thing I think that's really interesting about these high yellows, look how high yellow that one in the middle is there. It's like, I would say 85 to 90% yellow. Pretty cool. Oh, Dope Critters, thank you for the super chat. That's awesome. Have you tried Mazuri Better Bug Gut Loading Diet for your isopods? Haven't tried that one yet. I've used Mazuri food before for other things, different foods, not isopod food. Like when we had rats, we used Mazuri rat food. And it's good stuff. I appreciate the quality of Mazuri, so I would be willing to try it at some point. I just haven't. There's a couple of young ones. One I think is interesting is how the young juveniles start out not very yellow, and then they just yellow up as they get older, which is cool. I like it when it goes that direction rather than the opposite direction. You can see just the bigger ones are much yellower than the smaller ones. Kind of fun. And Random T, I do agree. They don't have to be super colorful to be awesome. They can be awesome and just be, you know, the gray isopods. They're still very cool. So thank you again, Dope Critters. So Honest Villain, P. succinctus. I love the look of that species, but I feel like I'm not qualified to give you any advice about that species because I have not worked with it at all. I've never even. I don't think I've even seen one in real life. Maybe I've seen one at an expo or something, but I don't think I have. I can't remember an occasion when I actually saw that species. So let's see. Perfect pet for civilization collapse, easy to feed and care for. True enough. Let's see what we got here. These are my Nords. There's a little juvenile. There's a lot of juveniles in here. The adults usually hang out in a weird place. Here's a bunch of juveniles. These were all born this spring. Pretty much everything you see here born this spring, and there's more than that around, but let me see what else I can find here. There's a ton under here, and a bunch of them are running away, but there's some bigger ones mixed in with the smaller ones. Porcelaria ornatus Nord. Love these. Possibly my favorite morph of these species. Still deciding on that, but these get big. They have really nice patterns. They're almost like Porcelaria haasii, not quite as bright yellow, but beauties. So Paranoia Princess, in a snake enclosure, you'll probably be okay if you have the leaf litter in there, because the snake sit and poop will provide some food. The leaf litter will definitely provide food. As long as the leaf litter, is moist in areas. You don't want it to be moist in the entire enclosure for most snakes, but if it's moist in some parts of the enclosure. Oh, there's a bunch in the food dish. Check that out. I should drop them some food. They look a little bit hungry, don't they? And I just had the food, and where did I put it? I don't even know. Just had it. Well, that's okay. I'll give them some dried mealworms. They'll like that. They like a little protein here and there. So I'm just going to crumble up some dried mealworms a little bit, put them in there for them so they can eat those. Comeback foods, huh? I need to try that. And Theropod Hunter, you got a black magic potion your friend did? Oh, okay. Mr. and Mrs. Millie just sent a super chat. Awesome. And yes, there's an update, and I want to show that culture to you. Can we do that? I think that would be fun. So I'm going to do more Porcelia ornatus, and then I will show you the orange creams. The culture is still small, but it's doing its thing. They're reproducing, so I would be happy to show those to you, Mr. and Mrs. Morelia, and thank you for the super chat. So nobody let me forget that that's what we're looking at next after these guys. So these are Porcelia ornatus Witch's Brew. You can see a young one, a juvenile on the right there. And aren't these gorgeous? They were isolated from the yellow stock and a pied version of that. So they're called Witch's Brew because they're like the Porcelia version of Magic Potion, right? They got a lot of yellow and they've got some dark pied markings on them. I think they're fantastic. If I had to pick a favorite, like I was saying, it might be Nord and it might be these guys. I'm not sure which one. Let's see if I can dig up any more. There's some babies right there. You can see there are a couple of different cohorts there. I think there are 2 or 3 different litters of Munci there, and I see a bunch more moving around on the bottom. You probably can't see them where you are, but they are doing their thing, reproducing, and fantastic. They're a great Porcelia ornatus. So, Peter always has excellent stuff. Peter's got great stuff going on. I'm so excited next time I get to go out and see Peter and Jesse and just everything out there at Sky Island Adventures. Hoping to make that work this summer. If not, I'll have to make it work next summer, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Right now it's just the money thing, you know. It's expensive to fly out there. Okay. So here we go, Mr. and Mrs. Morelia, this is for you. This is for you. Now, let's take a peek. Hopefully we can see something. Oh yeah, look at that. Look what we got going on. There's still a bunch of, not a bunch of, but there's still some solid oranges in here, as you can see. And I've been culling those out, putting them in another bin. But you can see it's working. We're getting the orange crumbles, various sizes. There's a recent batch of babies in here, so it's happening. I think they're kind of gorgeous. That's my thing. They're really kind of underrated. That one in the middle looks weird. I don't even know what to call that color, but that's probably one I'd want to call out. And there are more in here, of course, but that's what I can easily spot. So I don't know if you can see, if I lift this up, you'll be able to see that there's a bunch of babies milling around in there. Some of them are still the solid oranges. Like I said, I'm working on that, but a lot of them are the pied orange crumbles. Coming along. It always feels like it takes forever to get them to a point where you can sell them, but now that I have this many, I don't think it's going to take that long. So wavy aquatics, it is possible to contract certain diseases from reptiles, but it's not nearly as common as it is from mammals. And generally it is only done when the reptiles are kept in poor conditions, but it is theoretically, well, not theoretically, it does happen. It's fairly rare if you keep the reptiles well and you follow good hygiene, but you know, it is a thing. It can be a thing. So, yes. So some eggs, which one were you asking about? Sorry about the airplane going by. Hey, Kyler. Oh, I love time lapses of Isopod's eating. It's super fun. Super fun. While we're on the pied orange kick, why don't we take a look at the orange koi? These came from Wally Supreme gecko. Um, let's see. I'm going to answer some questions here. I have to make sure I answer some Patreon. There's just a few of the orange koi right here. Let's see if I can find a spot where there are more of them. Probably over here there'll be more. Oh yeah. There's some more orange koi. Also a gorgeous morph. One of my favorite Porcellus caber morphs for sure. So, Flying Studio. How do you get massive isopod colonies? What is the best isopod species or type to breed? Fastest and population grows in size quickly. 3, do you have any stick bugs? We'll answer the last question first. I don't have any stick bugs, although I think they're awesome. I don't have a single stick bug. What is the best isopod species to breed fastest and population grows in size quickly? Dairy cows would be one of them, for sure. If you want to produce large quantities like as feeders or something, dairy cows are definitely going to be one of your best options. And how do you get massive isopod colonies? Well, start out with a colony in a container that's not too big, because you want them to have a certain population density to really get breeding. So you could start out in a 6-quart or something, a little smaller even. Get them so you have maybe 50 or so. Bump it up to a larger enclosure, and then split that enclosure into 2 more, and pretty soon you'll have massive colonies if you keep going like that. Yep. So, hobby, unfortunately I do not have my vinegaroon still. I wish I did. I have done one live stream on Stick Bugs Flying Studio, an interview with a hobbyist, a young hobbyist by the name of Samuel in Sweden. He had stick bugs and we did a live stream on that, and we did giant snails and stick bugs, 2 things that you can't keep here, and he can keep them there in Sweden no problem. So we did a video on that. So if you want to check that out, it'll have some of both of those for you. I don't remember exactly when it is, but if you do a search for Aquarimax and stick insects, you'll probably get that to come up. And yeah, some eggs, those were Porcellanides pruinosus, the same species as the powder blue, powder orange. It was just the orange cream morph, which is a double, it's 2 genes going on. You got the pied morph and the orange morph. Here's my Gestroy zingers from Racktastic Racks. You can see tiny little baby right there above this adult. There's a lot of babies of different sizes in this enclosure right now. I don't know if you can see any. If I do this, you can probably see some babies hanging out down there. Oh yeah, you can see quite a few babies. I'm really excited that they're breeding well. I love these. They're fantastic. And Paranoia Princess, I would do the split. I would keep some, put some in with the snake right away, and also split some into another culture. That way you have some redundancy, positive redundancy. See, those are the adults, those are the babies. Again, from these are Armadillidium Gestroy zingers from Racktastic Racks. Brandy was kind enough just to send me some when I was inquiring about them. Very nice. And another reason why this is one of my favorite species, because they're just gorgeous, even without the yellow color. So I do have Arachnobos. I do have those, yes. I have Lottery Mix. They're pretty popular lately, but so my population needs some recovery time, to be honest. But I do have some. Let's take a peek at them. Let's look at what we got, see if we can spot some. There's some young ones right there. Got a lot of different tones going on. There's some more. Oh, that's a little bit more representative. We get a little bit more variety there. I don't even know how many morphs are in here. I've got pied, I've got Dalmatian, orange Dalmatian, ghost, I think, orange embers, calico, a couple of lavas. Got a lot of stuff going on in here. Probably didn't even say all of them. They're pretty great. They are underrated for sure. And Savannah Jones. Hey, excellent. Glad to hear you got some babies, and you're welcome. So yeah, they're all running off now, but I do love the lottery mix. There's some of them that are almost a buttery sort of color in here, which is cool. I don't know what that means, where they're coming from, but they're pretty neat. Pretty fun species, or morph of a species that is also fun. It's not really a morph, it's like a catch-all stew of lots of different morphs. The alphabet soup of isopods, whatever. Should we look at what is probably my very, very favorite morph of Porcelia scaber? It's not really a morph, it's more of a locality, I guess. But my favorite type of Porcelia scaber. Let's take a wee peek at them. The lavas, just look at that. They are hard to beat, for sure. Absolutely gorgeous. The contrast of that pattern, the variability of it. There's a big chunk of them right there. Very, very gorgeous. Call it rusty mustard. Green Jedi monkey. I don't actually have any morning geckos in this room, so it'd be hard to orchestrate. But I could make that work for the future, though. But all my morning geckos are in different rooms, so getting them here would be a little tricky. I'd have to be gone for a kind of a long time. Okay, I don't know about that kind of stick insect. Generally, if you're not transporting them across state lines or something, it's not too big of a deal. If you're transporting stick insects across state lines, you could get in a lot of trouble, potentially. And of course, there are other considerations too. You can get permits for some of them, and so on. Do you want to see some American line magic potions? Might be my favorite morph of Armadillidium vulgare, if I have one, because they're quite beautiful. All right, so green Jedi monkey, we'll do that. We'll do that at some point. Theropod hunter, yeah. Yeah, good question. Do they call them magma when they're underground? Because they often are. Yeah, and I want to try to help Kyle Candillian at Roach Crossing. He's one of the two people who developed this line, the American Line Magic Potion. And his movement is this. If I want to say soapbox, I don't want to make it sound negative. Just when he named these magic potion, he did so because he had line bred them for the yellow coloration, and the yellow on the white kind of looked like a swirling potion, right? Like the Pensieve in Harry Potter or something. So that was the idea. He and Jay Fiore were the ones who did this. Jay Fiore collected the original stock, and Kyle worked with him. So anyway, he named them magic potions. And then the Japanese ones, which are also cool isopods, I have some in here, in this room, and I could maybe show you in a minute. The Japanese magic potions are also very cool, but they're just basically a pied morph of Armadillidium vulgare. They're not the same stock. They don't have all the same characteristics. These get especially big, the American ones. They're also line bred for the yellow, like I said. And they tend to be kind of slow breeding. And the Japanese magic potions are basically a pied Armadillidium vulgare. So maybe what we should start calling the Japanese line is just call them Japanese pied Armadillidium vulgare, because that shows that they're unique and they're cool, but it doesn't confuse them with the American magic potions. Now the orange Dalmatian, which are sometimes called orange Dalmatian magic potion, I learned are descended from this stock, American line magic potions, crossed with orange vigor. So while they do share some stock with magic potion, they're not true magic potions. So we should call those orange Dalmatians, and we should call the Japanese ones Japanese pied. And I would very much hesitate to cross them, the American and Japanese lines, just because you'd lose the uniqueness of both stocks. And probably the line breeding for the yellow would decrease, and you'd get something that's just kind of a muddied, pied version. I actually did a video where we had a Japanese magic potion and an American magic potion side by side. I've done that. I'm thinking logistically, I don't have an objection to doing it. Thinking logistically that would be tricky to do. I'm trying to see if I can figure it out with the space we have and whatnot. If I can make it work, we could do that. I'd have to move some stuff around, but I'm not necessarily averse to doing that. Just 1 minute. I got to put away my jest right here. I don't know how this is going to work visually, but we're going to give it a go. I'm trying to put the Japanese magic potion right by the American line magic potion, see if we can get it to work. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Sorry, camera issues. Trying to adjust the camera to make this work. See if it works. Okay. Now, see, Crystal's Pets and Plants is here. Excellent. Let me see. So, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we're going to try it. I'm going to take the camera out of the tripod. See what we can come up with here. Okay. Put the camera out of the way. Alright. So these, that's an American line magic potion right there. These, a couple of those, right? And over here, we've got these. There's definitely yellow markings on there. But overall, the average size of the American line magic potion is bigger. The yellow markings are more pronounced, more coverage in comparison to the Japanese magic potions. So, both very cool, both different, unique in their own way. So, I'm going to recommend we start calling these Japanese pied Armadillidium vulgare, just to distinguish them fully from the American line magic potion. But I don't know if it's going to take on, or if it's going to catch on, but I wouldn't mind if it did, because I think it would avoid some confusion. All right. Cool. I hope that helps. They're quite different when you can view them both at the same time. Quite different, don't you think? So Takshish, did I say that right? Takish? I'm not even sure. Said, my Nazatum pearl culture crashed. Only a few survived. Any suggestions on keeping them? Well, they tend to be one that does not like to dry out. So I keep mine try to keep mine a little moister than I do my, sorry, my mind's blanking. Than I do like Armadillidium vulgare or many of my other Armadillidium. I really try not to let them dry out, and they do like a little ventilation, but they don't need quite as much as some of the other Armadillidium, which helps them not dry out so fast, which is nice. Yeah, they are a nice isopod. In fact, we can take a look at them. I always say that they're underrated because I believe that they are. I believe that the entire, all Nazatum are awesome, and it's an underrated species altogether. But the pearls are an underrated morph. There are a couple of morphs out there called pearl, which is confusing, because there's one that's almost entirely off-white, and then there's one that has a lot more color to it. I have the one that's almost entirely off-white. So just lowering the camera so we can get a better shot here. They actually do need a little bit more water than they have right now, but these are the pearls of the particular type of pearl that I have. So you do get an occasional one with some flecks on it of a dark color. I'm not really seeing any right now, but I do see them occasionally. Most of them are just kind of this nice pearly off-white color. Oh yeah, Mr. and Miss Amelia, I agree. The American lines are really nice looking. Oh, Kevin, hello. The garter babies are doing well. Eating a lot. Hoping to see their first, they have a shed generally shortly after they're born, but then the real true shed, if you want to call it that. Oh, Crystal, congratulations on the little zebras. And M. Zig, I actually showed my granulatum culture earlier on in the video today. And yeah, they're doing pretty well. I've got specimens of all sizes in there. We're doing pretty well. I got them from Critters and More. He was actually getting rid of his culture, so he sent me the culture at a great price, the entire culture. So I got in on the ground floor, so to speak. I wanted to show you my Silisticus convexus Ukraine pied. Just while we're at things, there's wall-to-wall isopods right there. And a gorgeous morph this is. Dairy cow isopods are about an inch long, doing something right. Yeah, they can reach that size if they have enough resources and so on. Generally, as the colony grows and there are fewer resources per individual, you'll see that it's kind of decrease, but it's not unheard of for them to approach that size. So. Oh, did I say something with a Australian accent? What did I say? I missed it. Oh, Kevin, excellent. Glad your Vinegaroon woke up. I've had them go from into June before, maybe even July. It's kind of nuts how long they will go sometimes before they will unearth themselves. I wonder if we can take a little peek at the snakes and see how they do. Let me see. It's probably about time to, well, I'm going to feed them today. I hope they didn't knock their paper towel, get it all wet. Probably did. Hope not. Oh no, that's not that bad. That's not that bad. I was worried because there's some condensation on the top. However, there's some mold on this piece of wood, which means it got too wet in here. Not great. Even though the paper towel it's fairly dry there. There's a little one. Oh, there's a big pile of snakes right there. I'm going to be feeding them in just a few minutes as soon as I'm done with the stream. And there's a huge pile of them too. Doing well. Haven't had any losses yet. They seem to be eating well. Hopefully I don't have any losses at all. I didn't last time either. So I seem to be doing pretty well. What are your thoughts on providing isopods with magnolia pods? I do it. I keep them with mine. They seem to do well. Some of them eat them faster than others, and some of them hide in them more than others. Oh, so Flying Studio, your mantises are going to molt differently depending on age, depending on how much food they eat and that kind of thing. So it's going to vary quite a bit. You can get some generalities also. As they're younger, they'll molt more frequently. And this is just one of my snake bins. Check this out. This is super cute. Sticking out of the moist hide here. Love that. Yeah, this is only one of the bins. I've got 2 bins of snakes, of baby snakes. And about 14 in each, I think, is what I have. And what am I feeding the baby snakes? Crystal asks. Well, finely chopped food of every kind of food that I've offered them has been finely chopped, and I offer them mixes of earthworms, pinkies, and silver sides. And mince that up into kind of a stew, and they go nuts over it. They do really well on it as well. It's full of nutrients. The mice are particularly nutritious compared to the worms, so I try to get them on that as quickly as possible. So I've never offered them a straight earthworm meal. They get the proportions change over time. They start out with more earthworms in the mix at first, and I kind of decrease that so that they are comfortable eating all pinkies. It's good for them to have variety, and I offer variety, but I also want them to be able to eat just a pinky, and they won't necessarily do that unless they get to the point where they'll eat minced pinky. Then they'll pretty readily take pinkies when they're big enough, if that makes sense. So they usually don't have any problem taking earthworms, and fish are usually pretty easy for them to take, but I mix them up so that they're comfortable eating all of them. And then if someone buys one and says, I'm just going to do an all rodent diet, they're good to go. If somebody says, I'm going to do a mostly fish and worm diet or whatever, then that's fine too. Oh, there's Victor. Excellent. And thank you, Ragnaboss. They are pretty gorgeous, aren't they? I'm going to try to pick one up, hold it in front of the camera. They don't like things coming from above. When, as Clint from Clint's Reptiles would say, when you're a noodle with a head, the world is a scary place, or a dangerous place, I think was what he said. But very true. But as soon as I pick one up, they tend to calm right down, as you can see here. One of my favorite things is when the snakes get old enough to switch to a front opening enclosure, they calm right down because there's no longer predators coming from above. Oh, I've got one that's trying to poke its way out over here. Oh, sorry. Just dropped it. But it was close to the substrate, so it's not a huge big deal. But I do try to avoid that when I can. See, I've got them trying to weasel their way out here, and they're not bad at it. They're pretty good at it, so have to be careful. I'm already starting to notice some size differential between these snakes. Some of them are a lot bigger. Here's one that just crawled out. Sorry, I'm getting the light balance is all messed up. This one is considerably bigger than some of the others right here. It's probably a good 2 or 3 inches longer than some of the smaller ones. Like this one is considerably smaller than. Oh, is it Scary Place, Paranoia Princess? I think you're right. I think it's a Scary Place. I just misquoted Clint. But he's awesome. I'm looking forward to our next collaboration. Just need to set up a date, and we'll get it going. Oh, you said that joke last stream, Javi. Awesome. Oh, I know what you mean, Paranoia Princess. Totally there with you. I could see what you meant. I got them crawling out. Seriously, guys. Don't escape. Oh wow, we only have like 1 minute left. I need to answer some questions. I got some questions in Patreon, and here I am. And I got behind. So I got some questions from C. And C says, where do you recommend getting sphagnum moss and cork bark? About to upgrade several bins. I'm short. I usually get my cork bark either from any herpeticulture or from the Biodude, and I've gotten it on Amazon too. And then sphagnum moss I just buy on Amazon, and I look for a sustainably harvested organic one. And then C also asks, how much ventilation would you recommend for a millipede bin, specifically bumblebee millipedes, compared to an isopod bin? I keep it pretty low. Generally, my bumblebee millipedes just have 1 or 2 small ventilation holes drilled up on the side, and maybe put some chiffon on it, and that's it. They don't need a lot. But if you're in a 6 quart, they might not even need any additional, because the 6 quarts don't, they're not airtight. Well, that's so exciting. You're looking at the top of a human hide. How fun is that? Let's look at somebody's face instead. How about that? That's a little better, huh? Look at a snake instead. All right. Well, it is hard to not to smile and laugh at these little guys. Well, it's been great to have you all here. I appreciate the super chats. I appreciate all your participation and your questions. And yes, a sphagnum alternative is a good idea. And I will see you soon. Got some videos coming up. So check out my next video on Friday, and stay healthy, stay safe. Thanks, everybody.